we're going to give everybody about 2 more minutes to get back on here, and then we'll go ahead and start our presentation. My name is Amanda. I am a music teacher. I'm also a Google for Education certified trainer. If you want to see my website, go ahead and click, you can type in that link. I'm also going to link the slides presentation in the chat box today. If you have any questions you want to get answered and you want to make sure they get answered today, either ask them in the chat or you can ask them at the link slides.app.goo.google and then the code that's right there. So we'll give everybody about 1 more minute and then we will get started. Let me share my presentation. I always forget to do this before we start. All right, I'm going to go ahead and link this in the chat box so you guys have it. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. My name is Amanda. I'm a music teacher. I'm a Google for Education certified trainer. I have a website and an email. I also have Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, a YouTube channel, and LinkedIn. So if you're interested in following me on any of those platforms, go ahead and click into the presentation. You can click on the links. So today we're going to be focusing on 3 different things: creating a class, adding students and adding material, and also putting grades in and feedback. So I'm going to go through most of the presentation first. I might move away from it just to show you some things in real time in Google Classroom, but we'll be primarily going through the presentation. So the first thing we're going to look at is creating your class. Now, what is Google Classroom? If you've never used Google Classroom before, it is a web-based learning platform. It integrates with all aspects of G Suite. So any docs, drives, slides, forms, sheets, anything you have like that, you can use in Classroom. I like to think of it as a one-stop shop. You can keep all of your materials and your student work in one specific place. It's great to organize your materials by topic, organize your assignments. It also has some really nice options for communicating with students, other teachers, and parents. And if you're looking to create a paperless classroom, this is a really great way to start. So, first things first, how do you create a class? Well, you have to make sure that you're logged into G Suite on your school account. If you have a personal account, make sure you're in your school account. There's a nifty little plus button, and all you have to do is push the plus button, hit create class, and you're starting from scratch. So if you see in the animation on the slide, you can type in as much information or as little information as you want. The class name is the only thing that's required. Personally, I will fill in the other things just to keep myself organized, so I know what class is what, when I see them, what year I did it, those such things. So once we've created a class, we're going to be adding students and material. Now, there are a few different ways to add students. The 2 main ways you can add them are by individually adding their email addresses, which you can do. It's a little harder when you have many, many children, but not impossible. So you could do that. You could also display your class code, and the students can log into Google Classroom and join via your class code. And you can find that class code on the banner for your class. And in the past, I have had classes where students will sit in my room with their Chromebooks open in Google Classroom, and I will give them the code while they're sitting right there so I can make sure that they are all where they need to be. Now, option 3, not everyone offers this, but your Google Classroom may be integrated through another LMS. Like we have in our county, we have what's called Phoenix, Student Information System. And what you can do is that's where we do our grades, but you can create a Google Classroom via that platform, and it will automatically populate it with all your students. So if your county or your school system offers that, I would absolutely go for that. Not everyone does, though, so you might need to check with your technology people or your administrative people to find out if that's something you can do. So once you've done that, you've got your classroom set up, you've added your students, now you can start creating topics, materials, and assignments. So, as you can see in the video, there are a lot of options. You can create assignments, quizzes, questions, materials. You can reuse posts from old classes. You can reuse posts from current classes. There are lots and lots of ways to do this. But to keep your classwork tab clutter-free, creating topics is a really, really good idea. So, on this page, my 5th grade test class, I started with making topics. And because it was just a 5th grade class and I teach all of the sections in this imaginary class, I'm going to create topics according to subject. So, language arts, science, math, that's what I'm going to do. You can do it any way you want. I'm actually a music teacher, so occasionally, depending on what we're doing, I might add topics. One topic will be composers, another topic might be literacy, another topic might be instruments, world music. Whatever topic suits you and your purposes, you can go anywhere with it. But I would highly recommend topics because that's going to keep all of your stuff organized. And so when you click into classwork and your students click into classwork, there's not just this long list and stream of assignments and materials. So once you flesh out your classroom, you add some materials to your topics. All your materials, your quizzes, and your assignments can be sorted into those topics. So I'm going to actually show you. I'll pull it up here. Let's see what we got. And it's not going to come up there, but it will come up here. Once again, make sure you're in the right account. I just had to switch mine over to make sure I had the right classroom. So I'm looking here as my 6th grade science. Actually, let's do that one. So if I click into this and go to my classwork, I have not organized anything. I just created a bunch of assignments. And you can see it can really add up really quickly if you're not on top of it with topics. So I'm going to go ahead and make a topic to organize these things. And I'm going to call it, let's see, I'm going to make it by month because I already have September science quiz. So I'm just going to make this topic September. Now there's nothing in there right now, but I can add all of these things just by clicking and dragging. And then I have some weekly activities things. So I'm going to create another topic and just call it weekly activities. And I'm going to drag these down in here. And students will be able to see this as I've made it. And if I want September at the top, just click and drag. Maybe September is what I want to be focusing on right now. So I'm going to put that over top of weekly activities, so that's the first thing they see when they log in. All right, we will go back to here. Again, if you guys have any questions, please, please, please type them in the chat box. I'm also going to reopen, because every time I close it, it closes out. I'll reopen the audience section as well. Okay. All right, so you have a ton of options, and I said this earlier, almost anything can be used as an assignment and or material in Google Classroom. Flipgrid, Nearpod, Pear Deck, Slides, Forms, Docs, YouTube. You can attach files to it if you have a PDF you want students to look at, or you have something from your computer that you want to upload onto there. You can. You have a lot of options for what you can use as material. Just make sure that with your school system, as with any school system, make sure that what you're sharing with your students is allowed. But beyond that, there are really no barriers to what you can attach to an assignment. So, moving on to grades and feedback. This is one of the things that I get the most questions about. So I'm going to show you the slides, and then I'm going to show you how to do it. So, where to find students' work. Now, students will also ask you this half a dozen times, a million times. Where do they find their work? What you see on this screen is a student view. That is what the student's view looks like for Google Classroom. The great thing about Google Classroom is student view and teacher view are very similar. So, if they click on the stream, which will automatically open up when they click on their class, they just click on the classwork tab, and they can click the assignment and hit view assignment, and it's right there for them to click on and do. And this is the September science quiz that I mentioned in the last slide. So that's a student view. All right, now teacher view. The video that you see is, as a teacher, you're clicking classwork, view assignment, and it's the same process as the students, but what you see is different. In this one, I can see how many people have turned in work, meaning how many people have turned in work and I haven't graded it. So if you've graded all your work, you'll see 0 turned in. That means that you've already graded that. So you have turned in, assigned, and graded. So you can also click on individual student profiles. If you go to People, the People tab, you can click on a student and see their individual work. Or you can click on the Grades tab and see their work. All of those are ways to do it. Now, the thing about teacher's view and feedback, excuse me. Now, let's say I comment to a student because I noticed that they haven't turned their work in yet. And I actually have this on here I can show you because I did a little bit of work beforehand. Now, I'm in here as a teacher view. This is my teacher view. Let's say I want to check and see who turned in work. And I'll show you 2 ways to do that. I'm going to click on classwork, and I'm going to click on September Science Quiz. And I can see that this is a different number. Now I have 2 that have turned in. 0 that are still assigned to it, which means they've all turned it in. And I have 2 that I had already graded earlier. So I'm going to go ahead and click on View Assignment. And let's say, let's look at this one. So I sent them a message earlier that said, I see you haven't done the quiz yet. Do you have questions about the content? That's a private comment. No other student can see that except for this one. And I put a picture, and I'll show it to you. I put a picture in the presentation, in the slides, that shows you what that looks like for the student. So they will see that. No one else will see that. And of course, this person responded, I took the quiz. So they responded later, and that tells me that they didn't have any questions. They just wanted to take their time, but they've already taken it and submitted it. So I'm going to go back here, and this is if I want to see their answers. I'm going to click on that quiz. It's going to open in Google Forms. And because I created it, I have this little pencil down here in the corner that I can use to edit. So this quiz was very easy. It's a science quiz, and I put 2 questions on it. If I hit edit this form, I'm now in edit mode, but I'm also going to be able to see the student responses. So I see that I have 4 students that have responded to this. So I can get in here, and this is a summary. And I talked about this in my last slide deck, my last training. The responses can be seen in 3 different ways. So right now I'm in summary, but let's say I want to see individual. So I'm looking at test 1. That's the first student. I'm going to go through, and they got 2 out of 2 points. They did awesome. They figured it out. Okay, I'm going to go to student number 2. Again, they did a great job. They got both questions right. Student number 3, I see that they got it wrong. Instead of saying, what are the 4 elements? Earth, fire, water, and air. They picked tacos, cars, water, and cheese, which, while delightful, are not the 4 elements. So what I could do is I can add individual feedback right here. And I can say, remember what we talked about last week. Don't forget to review the video. And let's say I have a YouTube video that we referenced. I can click here. I can add the video. And I'm just picking a video. So let's see. Here we go. I'll just pick this one. I haven't watched it, but we'll click this one. So maybe this was a video that I referenced. So I'm going to attach it to my feedback so they can look at it later. And I'm going to save that. Okay, so now that's in there for them to look at. And that's only individual feedback just for that student. And student 4, got that right, and student 4 did a great job. So there's a couple ways you can do this. I'm going to go back to my class. And I'm going to look in my student work, and I can see that they took the test, but their grades aren't in here yet. Now I can choose to manually type in those grades, but let's say I have 30 kids who've taken this quiz. I can hit this really, really, really cool button called Import Grades. It's right here. And it'll pull all the grades directly from the form into this quiz. So you want to make sure you didn't put any other random numbers in there or manually grade any quizzes, because the one drawback is that this will erase those. And so now my students' quizzes, their quiz scores are here. Say that 12 times fast. And I'm going to click these ones that have been turned in, and I'm going to return them to the students and say, nice work. And again, that will show up as a private comment only on their individual assignments. All right, so let's get back to this. Okay, so those are ways that you can leave feedback. You can also directly email the student if you're comfortable with that and you have a culture that allows you to do that. Communicate with the student via email. That's completely okay. You can also make edits within a document. If the document or whatever you're working on is collaborative, meaning you plus the student both have editing rights, you can leave comments or put things in suggestion mode or comment mode, I think. I forget which one it's called. And you can make suggestions to them of changes that they can make. You're not actually changing their document, but you can make suggestions. And I showed you how to do private comments. So leaving private comments on the work in student classroom on student work in classroom is only viewable by that student. Now, anything you comment in the stream, if you don't select a particular student, everyone will be able to see it. But if you comment on students' work, only the students are going to see it. So I know a lot of this is overwhelming, especially given that we are moving into a time where a lot of us are going to be doing distance learning, and a lot of us are doing this for the first time. You can do it. Small victories. Just tackle one thing at a time. If you look at your Google Classroom and say, I'm just going to organize my work in topics, and that's all you do for a day or 2 days or 3 days, however long it takes you, just do that. That's a small victory. You got it done, and you're not going to have to do it again. The cool thing is now everything's organized, and if you want to use the same organization for the following year, you just have to reuse all of the things in that class. You can do that. Just take your time, do one thing at a time. Don't try to do everything in a day. Feedback you can tackle later. You don't have to tackle that at first. Just tackle getting your classroom organized. So that concludes my presentation. If you have any specific questions, you can go ahead and put them in the stream. If you want to go to my website, you're more than welcome to. If you want to shoot me an email, my email is right here, admin@amandatechmusic.com. For those of you who have seen my slides presentation before, this is not a Slidesmania template. This is a Slidesgo template, which is also equally as awesome. So I will stay on for another moment or two, and I'll check for questions. If you have any specific ones about Google Classroom. And if I don't hear any questions from you, I hope you enjoyed it. I hope it was helpful. Let me know if you need anything. Go ahead and check out that presentation. Have a great day. And if I don't